What is going on, YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we're doing another breakdown guide, whatever you want to call it, of Bjergsen's ZILEAN. Last night in Game 5, TSM actually picked the ZILEAN once again for Bjergsen, and he used it to take down Team Liquid in the semifinals of the LCS. He's been absolutely insane on this pick recently. He has knocked out Golden Guardians, Cloud9, and now Team Liquid from the Summer Split LCS playoffs, all with this pick. When TSM has been on match point, he is, I believe, undefeated on this pick in the playoffs. He's been absolutely insane on it recently, and for the past couple of years, this has always been known as Bjergsen's pocket pick, one of his go-to picks. But now that they have an aggressive jungler that can actually play some carries and stuff alongside Bjergsen playing a more supportive mid laner, this pick is really beginning to shine on TSM, and Bjergsen he has always been known as one of the best ZILEANs in the world, but at this point he has to be known as possibly even the best ZILEAN in the world. So he's a great person to break down when talking about this champion and this pick, and I think this pick can really be successful for a lot of people in solo queue as well for a ton of different reasons. I know we recently just did a breakdown of Bjergsen's ZILEAN, but again, he's picked it like 2 or 3 more times since that video. There's more stuff to talk about. So in this video today, again, we're just going to be running through all that stuff, and hopefully we can learn as much as we can about the mystery, the mysterious, insane pick that is Bjergsen's ZILEAN. So first up, we're going to be talking about the runes and everything that Bjergsen takes to be so successful on this. In Game 5 against Team Liquid, Bjergsen took glacial augment. That's pretty much always what he takes. I know in solo queue you'll see some summon area on ZILEAN every once in a while and stuff, but pretty much Bjergsen is always taking glacial augment, whether in professional play, solo queue, or whatever, and it makes a ton of sense. As far as his other runes, he is taking Magical Footwear, Biscuit Delivery, and Cosmic Insight, with Sorcery secondary being for Mana Flow Ban and Transcendence. All of these runes have a really, really insane just use on ZILEAN. He is so good with all these runes, and he kind of really does need all of them. I don't really think there's too much room to swap stuff around with this rune page. Glacial Augment, obviously, it's insane for so many reasons. It's going to help you land more bombs and stuff. It's also going to keep you safe if you need to peel people away from you, help your team. The Glacial is so good. You're going to be building Super Soaker, Hextech GLP, so it just makes a ton of sense using it. And it's a really good Lost Chapter item, fully complete item, and it's just really good on ZILEAN. You're going to have so much more zone control, and you're going to just be able to land those bombs more often and really pressure those priority targets. So you're going to be looking to land those bombs and double bombs on as ZILEAN. As far as the other runes, they're pretty much a full scaling rune page. We have Magical Footwear, which is obviously going to give you boots later on in the game. That's going to be a free 300 gold. You have Biscuits, so you can stay topped off in lane, so you can just, even if you get chunked out or whatever, you can stay healthy in lane and continue to scale up. Cosmic Insight, CDR is going to be so good on ZILEAN, and obviously that's what you have the Transcendence for as well. And then Mana Flow Ban, just to keep you just with more mana and stuff, because you need to, it's really hard to kind of farm and stuff as ZILEAN, especially in the early game. You do need more mana. You are going to be spamming bombs a lot and stuff, and just more mana is just going to allow you to stay in lane longer, pick up more CS. Again, get more gold and keep scaling up, because that's really your goal as ZILEAN. You're super weak early, pretty terrible in lane. Your auto attacks don't do like any damage. Your bombs don't really even do that much damage at the beginning of the game. So it is pretty hard to farm. It is pretty hard to trade. You don't really have much 2v2 as far as anything with your jungler or anything, especially pre-6. Once you hit 6, you start to have some options, but especially pre-6, you are pretty weak, and you don't do too much. So you need a very safe, very passive play style. It's okay to be down CS. Bjergsen is down CS in honestly most of his professional games he's playing as ZILEAN, but it obviously doesn't matter, because once he starts to hit like level 11, level 16, he's just absolutely able to take over and carry the games every single time. The situation you're going to be picking ZILEAN, you do want to have some kind of melee carry on your team. Last night, TSM did pick it with an Aurelia in the top lane. Also a Shen in the jungle, which Shen is able to, you can throw the bombs on top of Shen. Shen can E in, and then you can bombs on top of them more, which allows you to set up more stuns or even just get damage off of those bombs. But having a melee carry is really good, something like Aurelia, because you can speed the Aurelia up, help her get onto the back line. You can also throw the bombs on top of her, so she becomes a threat to the other team's back line and everything. And then also having your ultimate for another big carry to bring them back to life, to allow them to be super annoying, because they're hard to deal with the first time, then they die, then they come right back, and then they're harder to deal with the second time, especially after the other team has used like cooldowns and summoners and stuff like that. So definitely pairing him up with a melee type carry, whether it be in the jungle or top lane or whatever, usually a good idea. In this game, you can see the ZILEAN is being paired up with the Hecarim jungle, which I think is a really awesome combination. Hecarim definitely enjoys getting the movement speed boost from ZILEAN and stuff, getting onto the back line. And Hecarim can definitely deal out the damage. That's the other thing, ZILEAN, his bombs do start to do a decent amount of damage later on in the game, but he's not going to be this huge carry damage threat from the mid lane, so you are going to need to supplement that damage in some other places, whether that be a carry top laner or a carry mid laner, and that's what we see TSM doing a lot of the time. As far as the skill order and everything, Bjergsen always is going to start out by maxing Q, which is fairly normal. That's what people are doing most often. That is very, very standard. But then he is actually maxing W second, which I've seen a little bit, but most people in solo queue actually decide to max the E second. But Bjergsen is almost always in every matchup going to be maxing the W second and then finally maxing the E third. Obviously putting a point in ultimate at 6, 11, and 16 when you can. And that's what he always does. That is what he finds to be really, really successful. I've seen ZILEAN players talk about it both ways, and I think there is definitely some cases and scenarios where you could do one or the other. But Bjergsen is usually more comfortable maxing the W second. And again, I'm not going to argue with the guy. He is, again, in my opinion, the best ZILEAN in the world. For sure the best ZILEAN in North America. So I don't think we can say too much bad about that. As far as the build, there's a ton of different ZILEAN builds. You can really go a large number of different ways. But Bjergsen's favorite build, the one he is going most often, is a Rod of Ages into the GLP. Obviously, we have the glacial augment, so the GLP is going to be super, super good. And then he likes to pick up a Magi's as his third item. Magi's is so good on ZILEAN. It's so easy to keep your Magi stacks, especially because you can ult yourself. You're also super safe. You can get a ton of assists with Magi's by either putting a bomb on your teammates, by speeding them up. You have just a ton of ways, obviously, to get assists and stuff, and to get kills and to not die, which that's great for Magi's. Then he likes to go into a Death Cap and a Void Staff finally to round out that build, and that build is super good. Obviously, the Rod of Ages is going to give you some health to stay a little tankier. It's going to give you a ton of mana and some AP. It's super good once you get that fully stacked up. GLP, again, we already talked about that. It's going to help you land your bombs. It's going to give you even more zone control than you already have. And then after that, just getting full AP to chunk people out with your bombs as much as you can with the Magi's Death Cap and Void Staff. As far as some of the things that Bjergsen actually does in-game to be successful on ZILEAN, one is getting his ultimates so good. Like we saw Jensen get to play ZILEAN in Game 4, and then we saw Bjergsen play ZILEAN in Game 5 right after that, and it looks so different. Bjergsen is not always ulting the first person to get low on his team. If it's a person in a bad spot that he knows ultimate won't do anything for, or if it's like his support or something and bringing the support back doesn't really matter too much, Bjergsen lets people die a lot with the ZILEAN ult. But he's making sure he gets his ultimate on a high priority teammate that also will be able to be brought back to life in a successful position. Sometimes he's ulting his AD carry, sometimes he's ulting his top laner or jungler if they're on a good engage or something. But he's always analyzing who's going to be the best. He's not simply looking at the first person who gets low and ulting them. He's also almost never ulting people too early. He's making sure he's putting the enemy team in tough positions where they need to decide if they want to kill this guy and have him come back at an insane amount of health, or if they want to leave him alive and let him kill their whole team. And you don't really get those options when you ult the wrong people, when you ult too early, when you ult a support or something like that. So you do need to be careful about that. Another great thing about ZILEAN, we've talked about already, is his insane zone control. In team fights, he can really zone off the enemy team's high priority damaged threats. Also around dragons and barons and stuff, he can cut off corridors by putting down bombs, but even just by having his bombs sit there, the enemy team has to decide if they want to walk through and pick them up, or if they want to come forward and contest the objective. So good at stuff like that. And just not always throwing out both bombs right away. You know, he's not always QWQing. Sometimes you can Q, you can throw a bomb down, you can let it go, you can let it see what happens, and then using your bombs really effectively like that. Also getting creative with your bombs. Sometimes he'll put a bomb on his own head, flash in, throw a second one on top of his head, and get a huge AoE stun on the other team. You can put the bombs on your teammates, on minions. You know, you're not always just going for bombs onto the other team and looking for stuns on the other team. Getting creative with it like that. Also, definitely allowing yourself to scale is a huge thing. Don't mind being down CS, but don't die. Especially in the lane phase, dying is the worst thing you can do as a scaling champion. You need to stay alive, and no amount of CS is worth like completely dying for, completely getting chunked out for. Because again, once you scale up, you can be absolutely insane at level 11, and especially level 16, once you have 40% CDR, you can ult twice in one fight, I've seen before, which is absolutely ridiculous, but you scale like a monster. ZILEAN is a great pick in professional play. Bjergsen is the best player in the world on this champion, and it's a super successful pick in solo queue as well. I think it's around a 52% win rate right now, so it's something you guys can pick up and start earning a ton of LP with right now. Again, it's not super easy. He has a very tough laning phase, but after that, it does really start to get easy if you can get the lane phase down, and yeah, you guys can start carrying a ton of games by learning from players just like TSM Bjergsen. That's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. What do you think about Bjergsen's ZILEAN? Do you have anything that you guys like to do that he doesn't do? Do you think somebody's better than him at ZILEAN? Whatever. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe to stay on my latest content. Hopefully I catch you guys in the next one, but until then, peace.